right, so let's see here. Oops, we gotta go live. That's right. Create, go live. All right, here we go. All right. Let's make sure we can hear. All right, we can. That's a good sign. All right. Let's get the show on the road, folks. And welcome in, everybody, to the Last Row Podcast, a fan's perspective on sports. It's Brian here inside the ARM Media Solutions Studios on this Friday, finally Friday, February 27th, 2026. Hope you are well. Hope you are happy, healthy, wherever it is you may be listening. We are live tonight, coast to coast, sea to shining sea, and around the world. Thanks to being on TikTok Live as well as being on YouTube Live. So make sure you are joining us on one of those platforms. If you are listening to us on either Apple Podcasts or through Spotify, thank you so much for doing so. We greatly appreciate the support and the continued follows, subscriptions, all of the fun and necessary things that this podcast needs. So, with that being said, let's not waste any time. You can check us out on our socials. Make sure you do so, including on TikTok at last.row.podcast. On X, you can check us out there as well at Last Row Podcast. Make sure you take a look and listen, and you check out our website at www.lastrowpodcast.com. Big thanks to I Know a Guy Remodeling. We will hear from them in just a little bit. You can see them down in the bottom right-hand corner. You can find a link to their website or to their Facebook page on our website. And again, that's www.lastrowpodcast.com. Big thanks to our friends over on TikTok Live and their continued support of the chat, including TikToker The Ruler and John and everybody over there. We look forward to your comments, as you do every night, and we appreciate it, all the support. All right, currently, right now, I have the Michigan-Illinois game on, and Michigan is making a statement. And by making a statement, that's putting it mildly. Michigan is absolutely destroying Illinois. And I've talked about this for a multitude of weeks now, with Brad Underwood being a hindrance for the Fighting Illini. And Illinois is going to drop to 13-5 in this chat. There's an echo, apparently. All right, let's take a look here. Bear with me 1 second. Thank you for that. Let's see here what's going on. Yeah, there's two of me, huh? All right, how about now? Is that better? Hopefully, maybe. Maybe kind of, sort of. You can still hear two of me, TikToker. Let's see here. Okay, well, that's not good. Let's see why that is. Wait a minute. Maybe they do this. Let's try that. How's that? Is that any better? Any better? Okay, perfect. All right, sorry about that. Gotta love technology, right? Anyway, we've talked about this here for the last few nights and few weeks of, quite honestly, of the NCAA college football or college basketball, year. And realistically, Illinois on paper looks really, really good, but they're hindered by their head coach. I'm sorry, they are. And they have a really talented roster, but boy, oh boy, are they struggling right now. And this is not how you want to play heading into the Big Ten tournament. Look, you're playing the number 3 team right now in the land. And it is without question. Look, you've got one of the best young point guards in the country, and in Keaton Wagler, and you're struggling right now, and your your defense is not leading to your offense, and your offense isn't getting back fast enough on defense, and that's a big issue. And I'm telling you right here and now, I'm wondering if Brad Underwood is on a little bit of thin ice here in Champaign, because this team on paper should compete with anybody. They should absolutely compete with anybody at any point in time. The problem is that you've got a coach that I don't know if necessarily if he's cut out for this type of pressure. I wonder if he's better off at a smaller school like Oklahoma State compared to Illinois. That, look, there's a lot more expectations at Illinois, I feel, than there are at Oklahoma State. And defensively, they've not played well tonight. Offensively, they have struggled, but it's moreover the defensive side of the ball that has really been an issue for the Illini tonight. And that's a big problem. And until the Fighting Illini understand that they've got a big road or big mountain to climb, I'm going to tell you right here and now, they are going to be there's going to be an issue. And until Brad Underwood either changes how he coaches, or until Underwood recognizes or is let go that he's not the right fit there in Champaign, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change for the Fighting Illini. He's not and I said it a few weeks ago, he's not the Phil Jackson type coach where you get rid of John Gross to go to Brad Underwood. That's not like going from Doug Collins to Phil Jackson. It's more of a lateral move. You're just going for a guy that, for lack of a better term, his time was used up at Oklahoma State. So, again, I feel that at this point in time, without question, there's got to be heat on Brad Underwood. There has to be heat on Brad Underwood at this point because they are underperforming. And there has to be a coach. And again, I don't know if it's going to be, a veteran like and I don't know anything obviously, but if Rick Pitino gets a better offer from Illinois than what he's getting at St. John's, maybe there's that. Maybe there's somebody else, a newer coach that is younger, that is hungrier, that has more better defensive schemes. I mean, look, I think you put Tom Thibodeau on the sidelines at Illinois right now, they're a top 5 team because the defensive and offensive sets are better. Look, Michigan has outplayed them in every aspect tonight. Michigan has never wavered. Michigan has looked like the better team. Michigan has played better. I don't know, but Illinois' got to do something. And yeah, Monty, I get that Pitino's set there, and I get that, and that's where he wants to retire. But I can't help but think that if Pitino wanted to go one more time to a big conference, not saying the ACC or the Big East, excuse me, it's not a big conference, but look, it's a 2-pony race, right? It's St. John and UConn every year. And if he wanted to go to the Big Ten, I'm just saying, Illinois would offer up a pretty penny to get Rick Pitino there. And I think look, I know it would work. If you had Rick Pitino right now on the sidelines in Champaign, they'd easily be a top 5 team, easily. But I'll tell you this much: the fact that Illinois has struggled, um, the fact that Illinois has struggled with Brad Underwood right now, when they are as talented on paper as any team in the country, it's not a good sign. Not a good sign. And this is not. Look, they could realistically, if they get like a 9 seed, let's just say in the NCAA tournament, they could get bounced in the round of 64. They could absolutely get bounced. And I think that's as big a factor right now. In and I get that they're 10th in the country, but you know what? They're not playing like the 10th team in the country. They're playing realistically like the 20th or the 25th team in the country. And they're getting dominated at home. And again, on paper, they are as talented as any team in the nation. They have one of the best point guards in the entire nation, one of the deepest squads, and Underwood is underachieving with them. And that's a problem. And I'm sorry. Look, you're not gonna get me off of this here. He is absolutely underachieving. And again, with the way that Illinois is playing, you're not going to convince me that they are going to go far in the tournament now at this point. I said maybe a month ago, you might want to watch out for Illinois because they're a pretty good team. Right now they're not. Right now they are struggling. And I still think Duke is the best team in the country right now. And I mean, Illinois is shooting 39%, and that's because Michigan's defense has been suffocating. Michigan's defense has been absolutely incredible. Michigan has dominated points in the paint, 40-28. I mean, it's absurd. Illinois is not meant to go up against a team like Michigan. They're just not. And it's showing tonight. You can hurt Illinois inside, which is what they're doing, which is exactly what Michigan is doing. Both of them are 7 of 26, 7 of 20 from three-point range. That's a wash. It's the points in the paint that are the difference. And right now, I mean, it's just not a good night for Illinois. And it looks like they brought in a majority of their their bench to try to spark the team and whatnot, but it's just not good. They're down right now by 16 points with 3 minutes to go in a game that they should have kept close. And they didn't play. Illinois just got outplayed tonight by Michigan. And that is, again, I'm laying it at the feet of Brad Underwood. You cannot play down to your opponents, and you cannot get outplayed at home. And they have. I mean, you look at North Carolina and what they've done at home. They've dominated at home. On the road, not so much. But Illinois needed to make the State Farm Center as difficult to play in, and that's one thing that I'll say about Bruce Weber. Granted, he had some different players and he had some dogs on that team, like Darren Williams and Dee Brown and Roger Powell Jr. But this squad for Illinois is more talented on paper than that team, and they play really they play down to their competition too much, and that's a reflection on the coaching, in my opinion. That's a reflection on the coaching, and look, you've got to get more help for Wagler. You have to, and he has none. I mean, you shut him down. Yeah, you can allow him 20 points, but you hold him to under 25 points, you got a real good shot at beating Illinois. And I mean, their defense has just been piss poor tonight. I mean, just awful. And Brad Underwood's going to go through that, and he's going to, our defense wasn't very good tonight. Your defense hasn't been good the last month. I mean, let's be honest here. It hasn't been. And that's why you've seen Illinois falter. And come Big Ten tournament time, look, they're probably going to get to the semis, and then they'll get bounced. like they always do, and then they'll get to be a 6 or an 8 seed in the tournament, and they'll probably be bounced in the round of 64 in the first round. And then at that point, all bets are off as far as I'm concerned with Brad Underwood. I think his seat needs to be hot. I think Illinois needs to be looking for a good young new coach or a established coach that has ties to Illinois and or the Big Ten. I mean, look, I feel the same way about Matt Painter at Purdue. 21 years, and I feel the same way about him. So, look, it's nothing against him. I mean, they're down by 20 at home with $1:40 to go. That's unacceptable. I mean, it's a 3 seed versus a 10 seed at this point, and Michigan has outplayed them in every aspect. And it's been bad. It's just bad. So, I think that Illinois has a very long way to go, and I'm not sold on Underwood. I'm just not. And if I might be wrong, and if that's if I'm wrong, fine, whatever. But I mean, Mrkovich didn't play well tonight. Wagler's the only one that's played well. Michigan has shut everybody else down. And they've got a shot of Brad Underwood right now on the broadcast. I'm telling you, I think his seat is hot. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Miami of Ohio. Look, maybe that's who Illinois goes after. I don't know. But they are 29-0 after getting a last-second victory here tonight. And look, their coach tonight was very upset at halftime. He was blaming the officials for how bad things were. And watching some of that game, he was right. The officiating was not good on both sides, to be completely honest with you. So, Miami of Ohio wins. They improve to 29-0, 2 more games in the regular season. You've got Arkansas State right now beating the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana. You have the big matchup that took place earlier between Yale and Cornell. And Cornell took that one. But look, I mean, your big matchups are coming tomorrow, other than what should have been a better game tonight between Illinois and Michigan. And I look forward to tomorrow. I look forward to seeing Duke play. I want to see if they're still motivated. Because I'm wondering if they have or if they feel entitled against Virginia. Now, Virginia's 25-3, so they are no slouch by any means. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see as Michigan wins this game and they clinch their first Big Ten regular season title since 2021. A 5-year drought is over. I look at Calvin Sampson with Houston tomorrow. I think they're gonna do well. Seton Hall against UConn. Look, I'm just gonna put it out there right now. Seton Hall, I think, is gonna play them tough. I truly do. I think they're gonna play them tough. I'll tell you a team that I'm super disappointed with that for a while was a really good story, and since their other head coach retired, they have just floundered, and that's Notre Dame. When Mike Brey left, I just had a bad feeling that Notre Dame was going to just start being horrible. And that's exactly what they've been. They have been absolutely awful. At least when Mike Brey was there, they were competitive. They were respectable. Now they're just a joke in basketball. So, as a Notre Dame guy, I'm not okay with that, but it is what it is. Also tomorrow, you got Louisville at Clemson. That's going to be a really good game in the ACC. I feel like you've got Kentucky hosting Vanderbilt. I think that's going to be a really good game. You've got Boston College at Miami. Look, Miami's playing really, really well. Miami is absolutely playing well, and there's no question about that. Um, Later in the day, you've got a couple bigger games on leading into Saturday night, including you've got Georgia looking for their 20th win. At 3 o'clock, you've got Kansas and Arizona. That's going to be a barn burner, I think. I like Kansas in that game. I do, but we'll have to see. You've got Texas Tech against Iowa State. Iowa State's playing really well. Iowa State is playing really well right now. Nebraska is number 12 in the country with Fred Hoiberg as their head coach. They're playing well. They're 24-4. So, I mean, there are some big games tomorrow that have a lot of interest. And then, the big ones tomorrow night. Again, I think, I really think that Duke, Virginia is going to be fantastic. I feel like Arizona, Kansas is going to be really good. I was hoping tonight's game was going to be real good, and it wasn't. It was a disappointment. It was a complete disappointment. And then you've got BYU in action tomorrow night, traveling to West Virginia. That's going to be a good game. Alabama, Tennessee tomorrow night. You've also got LSU and Oklahoma in the SEC. Not great record-wise, but you know what? I wonder if Oklahoma is growing tired of Porter Moser. And that could be a name to watch at Illinois. That could be a name to watch if Illinois makes a change. He's known in Illinois because of what he did with Loyola. He's got ties here. He recruited really, really well in Chicago. There's a chance. I don't know. I'm just saying. Villanova against St. John's tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a barn burner. I think that one's going to be great. I really like that one. Baylor, UCF. UCF is playing really, really well. Arkansas and Florida, I think, is going to be a good game. Virginia Tech and Carolina, that's going to be another good one. Carolina at home. So there are a number of good games that are out there tomorrow night that I think are going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be a great weekend. And then to cap it off at 9:30, you've got Gonzaga and St. Mary's, and that's going to be a good game at St. Mary's. Gonzaga 28-2, 16-1 in the West Coast Conference. St. Mary's 26-4, 15-2. That's going to be a good game. That's going to be a real good game. And I think heading up into championship week, which is next week already, look, you're going to see some teams in the ACC. You're going to see some teams in the Big Ten. You're going to see some teams in the Big 12 that are really going to be impressive. And I'm hopeful that this championship weekend or championship week leading into next weekend is going to absolutely get things set for the tournament, and I know it will. I absolutely know it will. So I'm ecstatic that we're reaching championship week. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the fact that March Madness is almost here. And also starting next week is the World Baseball Classic. And I want to shift gears real quick and talk about that because I feel that without question, there is a little bit of issue going on, I feel like, with the Detroit Tigers and Tarik Skubal only allowing him to pitch one time. I think that's a problem. If that's the case, you shouldn't let him go. You shouldn't have let him go. You should have held him back and not let him play. Because it's not fair to the other players. It's not fair for the other teams or the other members that didn't get on the team because, quite honestly, it's just not good. It's just not good. And again, I feel like if there was a an opportunity for if there was an opportunity for baseball to grow here in America and kind of get back to where they need to be prior to the impending lockout, they they've blown this opportunity. I'll just say that much. They've blown the opportunity. And it bothers me that Scooble's not playing or pitching more than once. It's bothering me that it's just not it's just not fair to me. It's just not. But I'm looking forward to the World Baseball Classic. I'm looking forward to seeing how these teams interact. I'm looking forward to seeing how these teams play. And because it's right in the middle of spring training, if I remember correctly, because this is every 4 years, just like the Olympics, there was an issue 4 years ago with a lot of guys coming out hurt and playing hurt after or being on the injured list after the World Baseball Classic. And if I remember right, that was an issue with Major League Baseball. And fans weren't happy about it. Because look, there are some big name players that are playing. And if they start out the season on the unable to play list or the injured list, whatever you want to call it, if they're on the disabled list to start, that's a big problem. And if I remember correctly, that's what that was an issue before. And again, I feel like this is it's an opportunity for Major League Baseball to absolutely get it right. And if they don't, it's a problem. It's going to be a big problem. So we'll see what happens. And look, we are super close. We're less than a month away now to opening day. And I am excited about it. I am ready for baseball. I think it's been too long. I think there's a lot of expectations on. I mean, obviously, LA is going to be there. You got Toronto. You got Seattle. Look, I think the Cubs have a lot of expectations this year. I think Milwaukee has expectations this year. I think the Mets have unrealistic expectations. Because believe it or not, managers matter. And, I think that Dave Roberts in LA, I think Craig Counsell in Chicago, I even think Pat Murphy in Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee's going to have a down year this year, and I'm okay with that. But managers absolutely matter in how they look at lineups and how they set lineups and how they get things, situated every day. I'm ready for baseball to kick things off because you know what? That means spring and summer is right around the corner. And that ultimately means that football is right around the corner too. So when we come back, we're going to talk a lot about the combine here today. I saw a lot of really, really good things today in the combine, and we're going to talk about that. And but first, we're going to hear from our good friends over at I Know a Guy Remodeling. There's nothing like opening day. Fresh grass, clean uniforms, 0 losses. Everybody is in first place. And spring is your home's opening day too. New seasons, new projects, new expectations. If your kitchen's been in a slump, if your bathroom's been on the injured list, if your basement looks like it's been sent down to AAA, it's time for a call-up with I Know a Guy Remodeling. They bring big league results, precision, power, veteran leadership, from full remodels to smart upgrades. They don't do minor league work. They build home field advantage. This season, don't just hope for a turnaround. Make a move. You can check out a link to their Facebook page on our website. That's at www.lastrowpodcast.com. Because everybody deserves to know a guy. And now you do. I Know a Guy Remodeling. All right, let's touch base here a little bit about the NFL Scouting Combine. And there are lots of rumors going around right now about different teams at the combine. What's happening, Bruce? How are you? Uh, lots of interesting things at the combine. Today we saw safeties and cornerbacks really kind of steal the show. And I will say this much, and we've talked about this at length here over the last few nights, and that is that with how deep this draft is, if you need defensive secondary help, today was a good showing of why this draft is so deep with the defensive backs, safeties, all of that. This combine, or excuse me, this draft being so deep. Look, I'll tell you a guy that I really was impressed with was Dylan Theineman from Oregon. He had a really great day. There were some absolutely burners today from the defensive back and cornerback and safety area that were absolutely just incredible. And for a team like, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Chicago Bears, that have needs in the secondary, today was a reason why you could kind of go, okay, you know what? I feel like that's a guy that we could get in camp and could start with for us right away. That's a guy that we could absolutely look at and go, yeah, we could see him being a shutdown corner. Devontae, good to see you. Yes, a ton of them were impressive today. This draft, and I want to be careful how I say this, and it's not anything bad, but I don't remember an NFL draft necessarily being this deep on defense in quite a long time. This round is absolutely really, really good. And the defense is the defensive prowess that these guys are showing, and their quickness and their agility and their ability to, they talk on the defensive backside about being able to rotate your hips, right? Because you're in a back pedal and you've got to be able to rotate, to your left or to your right on a dime. And a lot of these guys today were doing that, and it was very impressive. And I'm particularly intrigued now by the defensive backside of things because, and yeah, Bruce, the kid from Toledo is very, very good. But you know what? I want to see if I'm okay. This is going to alienate some people, and that's fine. I don't care. But, well, I do care, but I don't. My thought process is this. If I'm a general manager and I need defensive back help, I don't know if I want somebody from Toledo, from the MAC. No offense to the MAC. If there are guys on the board that are from Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana, Notre Dame, SEC, Georgia, Texas, Big 12, big conferences, I'm absolutely going to look at them before I would look at a guy from the MAC on defense because look, when you're playing in the SEC or the Big 10 or the Big 12 or whatever it might be, even the ACC, you're playing against the best players in the country, and you're doing it on a weekly basis. And the way NIL has impacted things makes me feel like this is you've got to start there. You have to start there. And with a lot of these kids today, through the 40, through the agility drills, Devontae, you're spot on. They were moving incredibly quick. Caleb Downs from Ohio State, I mean, they were comparing him on NFL Network to Antoine Bethea. And yeah, look, I get it. You're gonna get those types of players, Bruce, that are going to be steals, like the Browns tight end Fannin. Absolutely, I'm not denying that. However, I might want guys from the bigger programs right away. Getting Fannin in a a later round, okay, great. And if he out if he shows up and shows out over David Njoku like he did, great. You know what? We've got ourselves a great tight end moving forward. That was a steal in the second, third round, whatever he was. I feel like with how the defensive side of the ball is this year, I think you're going to see guys from bigger programs go first, and I think that's across the board on defense. I'm looking at this from an aspect of look, you've got guys from the ACC, the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, the Power Four right there that are absolutely look. Defense is prevailing right now in college, I feel like, and if you have a balanced program like Indiana in the Big Ten, like Miami, I feel like if you have a balanced program like that, you're going to produce some really good talent on the defensive side. And if you've got a defensive minded head coach, that's even better right now in college. I mean, look, I feel like watching these guys today and rewatching it currently right now, it's super impressive. And I feel like today it's been more impressive than what yesterday showed on the defensive line side of things. Tomorrow is I believe it's quarterbacks tomorrow. I will not be home to watch it live, but I will be watching it tomorrow night back on replay because you have to see the quarterbacks throw, and you've got to see them run, and you've got to see what they're after, and watching how right now the defensive backs are going through the hip drill like I was just talking about, and being able to turn on a dime. Look, in the NFL, these are the best athletes in the world. And you have to be able to do that. And if you don't do it, you're going to get eaten alive. And today, I mean, look, these defensive backs and safeties and corners, they showed out today. And this is not good news for guys like Jalen Johnson in Chicago, Minkah Fitzpatrick in Miami. Because, look, these young guys today said, hey, look, we're putting you on notice. This is this is what we're after. And I feel like there is an absolute chance that this could be one of the best and deepest defensive back drafts in a really long time. I mean, I feel like you're going to get good value on day 2 and maybe even day 3. But it feels like to me you're going to get an opportunity to get value. Second, third round. The kid from Arizona, Dalton Johnson, super agile, super quick. Jalen Kilgore, who was a second team all SEC guy from South Carolina. I mean, just phenomenal. Looked great. Looked the part every step of the way. And yeah, and I agree with you, Devontae. Yeah, Ben Johnson said it. Yeah, a rookie can take your spot in a heartbeat, and he's right because of the fact that honestly, if they're outperforming you, I mean, look, a prime example of that, and I'm gonna bring this up multiple times with the draft is going to be Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland for Chicago last season. Cole Kmet was thought of, okay, look, he's going to be your Sam Laporta. He's going to be the one that stretches it. And Loveland's going to be more of an inline guy, shorter routes. And it was the complete opposite. Complete opposite. where you saw Colston Loveland get really become Caleb Williams' number one target. And Loveland has emerged as one of the best young tight ends right now already in the NFL after his rookie season. And I would venture to say he outperformed Tyler Warren, who many people, said the Bears should have taken Warren over Loveland, and I think Loveland outplayed him. And I think Loveland had a better rookie year. And I think Loveland had a bigger impact on his team. And again, I'm just saying, a rookie, like Ben Johnson said, a rookie can take your starting job in a heartbeat. And if you're a team like Chicago, if you're a team, like the Steelers or the Cowboys that have defensive needs, okay? I mean, honestly, I'll bring up another team, Green Bay. Green Bay needs a lot of help defensively. They've got Micah Parsons. What else do they have? Not a whole heck of a lot. And again, I feel like, this could be a draft where you can kind of get right. And if you've got a lot of defensive needs, this is a great opportunity for you to do so. But super impressed today with a lot of the defensive guys, the defensive backs. They were fantastic. I feel like most of the defensive players, have really been just phenomenal. And I've been real impressed so far. Now, tomorrow, I'm looking at the quarterbacks, and I'm saying, okay, guys, you know what? The defensive side has shown you up so far. Now it's time for you to show up and show out. And if you don't, then we know how much of a draft this is going to be on defense. Because again, I feel like it's going to be, if you need defensive help, this is going to be it. One of the other items that I wanted to bring up here tonight is Dan Rochar from the Chicago Bears said that the left tackle position for Chicago, where Ozzie Trapillo got hurt during the Packers wildcard game, late in the game, and ruptured his patella tendon in his knee. That is a devastating injury to come back from on multiple fronts. And I feel that, and Rochar said this as well, that the next left tackle for Chicago is not in their locker room currently because obviously Trapillo's not playing this year. But they don't see the guy to step up and be that next guy. They don't see that guy in the locker room currently. And that's really an indictment on Ryan Poles. And that makes me wonder, somehow or another, if they're going to... They're not moving Joe Thuney. They said don't expect left tackle in this draft. So I think they're going to be active in free agency and looking for a left tackle. I sincerely hope it's not going to be a retread like Braxton Jones or things like that. I want, if there's going to be a guy, I want him to be an impact player right away, like a Trent Williams. Now, I don't think, hear me when I say, I don't believe Trent Williams will be available. I don't. If he is, I don't believe he's going to Chicago. I just don't. But what I will tell you is that I feel like they're going to be more active than what people think. And I'm wondering if there's a trade potentially in line. I'm wondering if what they are feeling about, Max Crosby, Trey Hendrickson, somebody like that. I wonder what they are going to think. And I'm wondering if, for Chicago, if they have something in mind already. And I respect Dan Rochar. He's been a big part of what the Bears have done over the last year. And if he doesn't feel like guys are in there, that the next left tackle for them is in that room, and that there's not a guy available in the draft, then you can bet Ben Johnson's going to have his hands all over that, trying to find out who they could get. And again, I think this season specifically, you're going to need all the help you can get because you have a target now on your back if you're the Chicago Bears. And that's and you need as much help as possible. I think that Bruce, to your point about the kid from Toledo, look, he does a lot from the safety position. He's a ball hawk. He gets turnovers. He's big. He's got the size. He's got speed. I mean, he's been, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren has been, look, he's 6'3.5". He's a big dude. That's a big safety. Look, you could, I'll just say this much. You saw Brian Urlacher when he came out from New Mexico. He was a defensive back. He was a safety. They moved him up to linebacker because of his speed and his agility, and he was a Hall of Fame linebacker. I wouldn't be shocked for some of these defensive backs because of their size if that happens. I believe that's a real good opportunity or possibility that you could see some of these guys get converted to, linebacker, to a safety, something like that. But again, I'm watching Dalton Johnson from Arizona. His hips are super fluid. And I hope you understand what I'm saying with that. Kilgore, same thing from South Carolina, really good point. Finds the point of the ball at the high point, quick with the hips, good first step. Look, the kid from Toledo, Bruce, again, a ball hawk. High points the ball at a great point, speed, good hips, looks good. Lewis Moore from Indiana, look. All these guys from the bigger programs are going to have an impact this year, I feel like. And again, I feel like this is going to be a year where defense is going to dominate, and when they do, it is going to be you're going to talk about this draft for a long time being a defensive-heavy draft because I don't know if Mendoza, look, other than Mendoza, who are your big quarterbacks? There's nobody really. Other than Jeremiah Love, who are your big running backs? You've got some decent wideouts, but this is a defensive-heavy draft, and I like where things are going for it and with it. And I think you're going to see a lot of trades. I think you're going to see a lot of teams move down. And we talked about that earlier in the week, where there are teams already making calls about trading down. And, there's pluses and minuses to doing that. And when you do it, I think that you're getting more draft capital, which is always a good thing. But I also feel like there's an opportunity there to maybe move up even, and again with how that works and how it operates, and what that means for your team. If you can move up to get a guy, you're going to do it, because if there are motivated teams that want to move down, no better chance to do it than in a draft like this. And I'll say another guy that looks really, really fast to me. Jacoby Thomas from Miami. Tall, lengthy, good hip movement. Wheatley from Penn State. Again, any of the big programs, you're going to have an opportunity to draft a good playmaker. Devontae, to your comment about number 25, look, I don't know if the Bears are going to be at 25. I'll be honest. I wonder if they're going to trade. I mean, if they want a big defensive end like a Max Crosby, they're going to have to part with draft capital, and that's going to be part of it. And look, if you have to give up 2 1s or a 1 and a 1 and DJ Moore, you do it in a heartbeat. You absolutely do it in a heartbeat. And the good news is that if that happens, you're going to be good for the next couple years. Your draft picks are going to be later. That's okay. One of the graphics that they show on the combine, and I really appreciate it. When you look at the 40 times, they have the simulcam, and they're able to overlay different guys against different players versus different players and how they ran the 40. And Dylan Theinman today, he ran a 40 that was his times today were better, and he's a defensive back. He's a safety. Better than Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown. He ran a 4.35. Jefferson ran a 4.43. Diggs a 4.46. Brown a 4.49. That tells you how fast some of these guys are. And Thieneman to me would be a steal for Chicago at 25 if they take it. But I don't think he's going to make it there. I think he's going to be way gone by then. But again, it's because of how deep this draft is. And I keep harping on it because it's a fact. It's super deep, and I like that. If you're a team that's looking at getting guys, guys that are value picks late in day 1 or early day 2 or mid day 2, second, third, fourth round guys, there's tons of value that's going to be there, I feel like, in this year's draft. All right, couple of other news and notes things here that I wanted to address. The Cowboys today placed the franchise tag on George Pickens to secure his rights at least through 2026. That's per Todd Archer. And he's an ESPN NFL Nation reporter who's covered the Cowboys and the NFL since '97. With the NFL setting the 2026 salary cap now being set at, I think it's $301 million or $302 million, the non-exclusive franchise tag for Pickens will be $27.298 million. That's a lot of money for George Pickens. You better hope, if you're Brian Schottenheimer and Dak Prescott, that you're getting George Pickens and you're not getting the head case of George Pickens or the headache of George Pickens. Because if that happens, that's a problem. You're going to have a $27 million, almost $28 million problem. And that's an issue. That's a big issue. Couple of other things. Kenyon Sadiq today made history at the Combine, running a 4.39 40-yard dash, the fastest time by a tight end since at least '03. It's pretty good. That's per Adam Schefter. Really sad story out of Atlanta. Don't know if you've seen this or if you've heard this regarding the assistant coach in Atlanta, LaTroy Lewis, who has now been fired because of he's been accused of sexual assault. Not a good start for Kevin Stefanski there. Not a good start for the new general manager of the Atlanta Falcons and team president Matt Ryan. That's a problem in Atlanta, and we're seeing a lot here of, um, he's been fired due to allegations. He being an assistant defensive line coach. He was arrested up in Michigan for it. That's an issue. That's an issue. And again, if he's innocent, fine. His reputation is tarnished in the NFL. If he's guilty, he'll never work in the NFL or college again. And that's an unfortunate thing if he is. But more importantly, look, he's got to clear his name if he's innocent. But this is not a good start for Atlanta. Not a good start at all. And for Jeff Albrecht, the defensive coordinator, not a good look for him. Not a good look for him. All right, that's going to put a bow on this edition of the Last Row Podcast. We will be back with you tomorrow night to discuss more combine, to talk about the quarterbacks, to talk about all of the college basketball that's happening, and any type of breaking news, because once again, breaking news changes everything. So until next time, I'll see you in the last row.